Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vajajana Ranjana. Vajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vajajana Ranjana. Nandana Vajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Better than nothing? Maybe. Debatable. Okay. Everyone has a book. We are on page 389, text 11. Okay. Yeah, page 389. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 15th day of January 2020 in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in chapter 9 entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge, text number 11, page 389. Avajananti mamudha manushim tanum ashritam padam bhavma jananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Avajanandi mamudha manushim tanam ashritam padam bhavma jananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Avajanandi mamudha manushim tanam ashritam padam bhavma jananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Dharmaraj. Tanam ashritam padam bhavma jananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Avajanandi mamudha manushim tanam ashritam Param Padma Jananto Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram. Anyone want to chant? Go ahead. Avajanandi Mamudha Manushim Tanam Ashritam Param Bhavma Jananto Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram. Anyone else? No? Okay. Go ahead, Ace. Avajanandi Mamudha Manushim Tanam Ashritam Param Bhavma Jananto Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram. Okay, I'll read the synonyms. You can read along. Avajananti, deride. Mam, me. Mudha, foolish men. Manushim, in a human form. Tanam, a body. Ashritam, assuming. Param, transcendental. Bhavam, nature. Ajanantaha, not knowing. Mama, my. Bhuta, of everything that be. Maha Ishwaram, the supreme proprietor. Translation. Krishna says to Arjuna, fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be. Purport. From the other explanations of the previous verses in this chapter, it is clear that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although appearing like a human being, is not a common man. The Personality of Godhead, who conducts the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the complete cosmic manifestation, cannot be a human being. Yet there are many foolish men who consider Krishna to be merely a powerful man and nothing more. Actually, he is the original Supreme Personality, as is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Ishwarak Parama Krishna. He is the Supreme Lord. There are many Ishwaras, controllers, and one appears greater than another. In the ordinary management of affairs in the material world, we find some official or director, and above him there is a secretary, and above him a minister, and above him a president. Each of them is a controller, but one is controlled by another. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that Krishna is the supreme controller. There are many controllers undoubtedly, both in the material and spiritual world, but Krishna is the supreme controller, Ishwarak Parama Krishna, and his body is Satchit Ananda, non-material. Material bodies cannot perform the wonderful acts described in previous verses. His body is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Although he is not a common man, the foolish deride him and consider him to be a man. His body is called here Manushim because he is acting just like a man, a friend of Arjuna's, a politician involved in the battle of Kurukshetra. In so many ways, he is acting just like an ordinary man, but actually his body is Satchit Ananda Vigraha, eternal bliss and knowledge absolute. This is confirmed in the Vedic language also. Satchit Ananda Rupaya Krishnaya. I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is the eternal blissful form of knowledge. This is Gopal Tapani Upanishad 1.1. There are other descriptions in the Vedic language also. Tamekam Govindam. You are Govinda, the pleasure of the senses and the cows. Satchidananda Vigraham. And your form is transcendental, full of knowledge, bliss, and eternality. Gopal Tapani Upanishad 138. Despite the transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna's body, its full bliss and knowledge, there are many so-called scholars and commentators of Bhagavad Gita who deride Krishna as an ordinary man. The scholar may be born an extraordinary man due to his previous good work, but this conception of Sri Krishna is due to a poor fund of knowledge. Therefore, he is called a mudha, for only foolish persons consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being. The foolish consider Krishna an ordinary human being because they do not know the confidential activities of the Supreme Lord and his different energies. They do not know that Krishna's body is a symbol of complete knowledge and bliss, that he is the proprietor of everything that be, and that he can award liberation to anyone. Because they do not know that Krishna has so many transcendental qualifications, they deride him. Nor do they know that the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this material world is a manifestation of his internal energy. He is the master of the material energy. As has been explained in several places, Mama Maya Duratyaya, he claims that the material energy, although very powerful, is under his control, and whoever surrenders unto him can get out of the control of this material energy. If a soul surrendered to Krishna can get out of the influence of material energy, then how can the Supreme Lord, who conducts the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the whole cosmic nature, have a material body like us? So this conception of Krishna is complete foolishness. Foolish persons, however, cannot conceive that the personality of Godhead, Krishna, appearing just like an ordinary man, can be the controller of all the atoms and of the gigantic manifestation of the universal form. The biggest and the minutest are beyond their conception, so they cannot imagine that a form like that of a human being can simultaneously control the infinite and the minute. Actually, although he is controlling the infinite and the finite, he is apart from all this manifestation. It is clearly stated concerning his yogam aishwaram, his inconceivable transcendental energy, that he can control the infinite and the finite simultaneously, and that he can remain aloof from them. Although the foolish cannot imagine how Krishna, who appears just like a human being, can control the infinite and the finite, those who are pure devotees accept this, for they know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore they completely surrender unto him and engage in Krishna consciousness, devotional service of the Lord. So we'll stop there and then go on after this. So Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. The disciplic succession. So, this is obviously an important verse. Srila Prabhupada has expounded on it at length, and he will go on. So this verse is coupled with the previous verse. Maya jakshena prakati suyate sacharacharam hetunani nakunteya jagat viparivartate. This is one of the verses in this chapter where Krishna describes his own controlling power, his glories. If he didn't describe them, how could we know them? And so, obviously, the third verse in the chapter was very important. The two introductory verses, Idam tu te guyit namam pravakshyami nusuyave. I'm now, O Arjuna, going to describe to you this most confidential knowledge. Why? Because you're not envious of me. Because you're my friend, you're my devotee. He said the same thing in the fourth chapter. Jnana vijnana sahitam yagyara moksha seshubat. You will get knowledge, you will get realized knowledge if you accept this instruction I give, and you'll be liberated from everything inauspicious. Very nice. Then the next verse is one of the most famous in the chapter. Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, Pavadramidam Uttamam, Pratyakshavangamam Dharmyam, Susukam Kartamavyam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most confidential. Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam. It is very purifying, most purifying. Pavitram idam uttamam. Purifying of what? Of all of the contamination we've accrued in millions of births in this material world. We need purification to understand who we really are and to understand Krishna. Pratyakshavangamam dhamyam. By practicing this, you will get direct experience of the truth that we're teaching, that he's teaching us. It's not that it's all theoretical until the final blast of realization. All along the way, you're going to experience increasing knowledge and vijnana. And try to put it on silent. Okay, it's okay. Yagya Ramoksha Seshabat. So, susukam kartamabhyam. It's very happily and easily performed. So you get the most confidential knowledge, the king of education. You get knowledge and realized knowledge, direct perception, and it's all very easily performed. So why not take it up? The next verse describes ashradhana purusha. Dharmasyasa parantapa aprapimam navartante mrityu samsaravadmi. Those who don't have faith in what I'm speaking, and they deride me, as described here, they think it's all just blowing wind, then they have to return again and again to this world of birth and death. So this is the key element, the faith. Now, here, Prabhupada says people deride Krishna as an ordinary human being. And mostly they deride him as just a mythical figure. I mean, in the modern age, people, what do they think of if they hear anything about our philosophy and the pastimes of Krishna? Oh yeah, okay, Hindu mythology, they bought into it, we're into science, we're into so-called reality. So they're blocked. They've blocked themselves off. with their doubt, with their disregard. And so they can't penetrate. There has to be some modicum of faith in the process in this teaching. And that comes through the contact with the great realized souls. This was Srila Prabhupada's one of his great gifts, but an essential foundational gift that he gave as he preached for those magical 12 years between 1965 and 1977. And that was because of his own personality and because of his absolute surety, which comes across in his books as well as even more so one-on-one. He was able to, not for everybody, but for many people who came in contact with him, to plant the seed of faith, at least enough faith and interest to further investigate. You see what I'm saying? Or the most auspicious thing is to take to the process, which generally means just to chant Hare Krishna. Just be there for the kirtan and maybe chant a little bit. You're not expected the first time to chant from the bottom of your heart with great faith. No, but at least to participate. And as soon as you do that, Krishna from within the heart, he starts to give you something, some more realization. Because it's real, because Krishna is real. But we've been so long in illusion, in Maya, in the modes of nature, that even when we come to the human form of life, we have doubt, and especially in the modern world, which worships the technology and science and so many things. This is what attracts our attention and which seems so real and magical. Not the fact that we're spiritual beings, that we have an eternal life of bliss and knowledge, that all of this is actually a big phantasmagoria and a dream that doesn't mean anything. This is a very strong theme of the Uddhava Gita. You know, there's a Bhagavad Gita, but there's a Uddhava Gita in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna's last instructions to his intimate devotee, Uddhava, very intimate friend and devotee. And so there he expands on many of the same themes as the Bhagavad Gita. And one thing that keeps coming up again and again is that this material life is actually not what we think it is. It's not that it's unreal completely, but that it is temporary and it ultimately has no meaning at all. There's this one verse that appears 5 times in the Bhagavatam. You know it's important. You've heard it before, right? Some of you, maybe some haven't. It's worth contemplating. It's exactly this theme. Arte vidyamane pi sangsati nandavartate dhyayado vishayanasya swapna nartagamo yata. Swapna means a dream, right? So he says, Arte vidyamane pi, that samsriti, samsara, this birth and death and all the sufferings that are going on, is actually unreal in the sense it's dependent on your believing in it. And if you can take your mind away from that, you won't experience the pains and pleasures of this material world. You'll be on a transcendental platform. So this is arte yovidyamane pi, samsriti nandavartate. But the pains of birth and death and old age don't cease. Just for those who are meditating on the object of the senses as all in all. Dhyayado vishayan asya. You may recognize this line, those who are students of the Gita. This is a line from the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter. Dhyayato vishayan pungsa sangateshu vijayate sangat sanjayate kamat kama krodha vijayate. In 2 verses in the 2nd chapter, Krishna describes how the living entity, by meditating on the object of the senses, which everyone is doing, degrades. Because from that meditation, what happens? You become attached. You know, think of this is what all of advertising is based on. Somehow to present a product in such a way that it captures the attention of you, right? Yeah, this can fulfill my need, and look, it's on sale. You know, in other words, the paying for it is minimal, and the pleasure is just waiting for me. You know? So that means by meditating, even for a few seconds, on the object of the senses, attachment comes. Yes, I want that. And if you keep focusing on it, then that turns into kama. Sangat sanjayate kama. Kama is a very strong desire, you know, symbolized by sex desire. But all material desire can become very strong and powerful. And inevitably, that material desire, when that's gripped you, you know, as Krishna says in the 3rd chapter, it takes over your intelligence, your mind, and your senses. Everything. You know, then you're really caught, right? So then because it's so frustrating, you can't fulfill the desire, or it comes and goes, anger comes. Kama krodho abhijayate. And then that krodha, bhavati sangmoha, you can become completely bewildered. You can do things that you would never do in your ordinary, right? Sometimes you read about, oh my God, one brother killed another brother, you know, and what did I do? What have I done, you know? Krodha bhavati sangmoha smriti vibhrama. You lose your memory, you forget everything, and smriti brangshad buddhinasha. And when your intelligence becomes destroyed, human beings have this special intelligence, then sarva panashati, you've lost your human life, and you probably go down into an animal species. So, but Krishna says, but there's a solution. There's a way out of this. Raga dvesha vimuktais vishayan indriyais charan atmavasya vidheyatma prasadam adigachati. This is how we get the prasadam. Not just the wonderful prasadam food, but the grace of the Lord. So, what's the key? The key is raga dvesha vimuktais vishayan indriyais charan. Even when the senses are moving among the objects of the senses, in other words, roaming as we often do, you can be free. You can be free of raga and dvesha. This is the whole problem: is that we're whipped around from raga, attachment, and dvesha, abhorrence. Life material life is just trying to fulfill our material desires and avoid the pains. Raga, dvesha. But you can be free of all that duality, which keeps you bound here. If what is it? Atma vashe vidhe atma. You can have self-control. Atma in all of its meanings. Atma has a very interesting word. It means soul, but it also means intelligence, body, senses, mind. It can mean supreme soul. Lord Chaitanya, in his explanation of the Atma Rama verse, he gives 8 definitions for Atma. So, Atma Vasha just means basically self-control. And here's the key phrase, Videyatma. By practicing the regulative principles of freedom, the principles of bhakti, one can become steady even in the dualities of this world. And that's what's described. As long as we're meditating on the object of the senses, we'll be suffering birth and death again and again. In other words, the pains of samsriti, of samsara, will continue. Just as if you're having a nightmare, the suffering is going to continue until you wake up, right? And when you wake up, then you say, oh, thank God, it was just a dream, And that's exactly what happens for someone who's awake in Krishna consciousness. You transcend the dualities of this world, and matra sparshata konti. You can tolerate the dualities because you're on a different platform. You're experiencing your relationship to Krishna. You see Krishna in everything, even in the dangers that come in this world. Oh, Krishna's trying to teach me something. Don't go there. Don't try to enjoy that. I see Krishna's hand in everything. That's bhakti. So, but it takes faith to get to that point. It takes faith because faith is required to practice. And what is the real fountainhead of our faith is faith in the Guru, faith in the Acharyas. If we doubt that Krishna is real, okay, not even that he's a powerful human being, but just that he even existed, and maybe just a myth, well, that means that we're saying that Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all the way back, Lord Chaitanya, he was definitely a historical figure. He was also deluded, the 6 Goswamis. Do we really want to go there? What do I know? My little experience in this world, which is obviously covered imperfect in so many ways, I'm putting that up against the opinion of these towering intellects, realized souls, where they're just spinning yarns. When Rupa Goswami writes, Tunde tanda manira ting batanote tundabali labdaye karna kroda kadhammani katayate karnabode vakspiham. He's expressing in this verse from the Vidagnamadhava his own experience of chanting the holy name. Now this is why the chanting is so wonderful and powerful, because even if you just begin to chant, you'll experience something. Otherwise, how are we going on now for 50 years? There's something going on. Maybe not, all the symptoms that's expressed in this Chaitanya Charitamrita, but still something. But here, there's Rupa Goswami expressing, and all the Goswamis, that I don't know how much nectar these 2 syllables, Krishna, have produced. This is the meaning of this verse. It's from Vidagdamadhava. When I chant them, they seem to dance in my mouth, and I taste the sweetness of this name, and I want to have millions of mouths. And when they enter the ears, I want to have millions of ears to drink in that nectar. And when it enters into the courtyard of the heart, then all my senses become inert, my mind becomes completely fixed on Krishna. He's experiencing that. Lord Chaitanya heard this verse, he went into ecstasy, Haridas Thakur. So the point is, these are historical figures. Rupa Goswami, he's actually, why would he write that? It's not like he's going to publish on Amazon and make $1 million or something. It must be real, and he's not alone. There's so many expressions like that. So the point is, that should plant in our heart enough faith to at least try it, right? It's just like yoga. I remember we have in our midst a yoga teacher, teaches this traditional yoga. You also teach yoga? I didn't know that. Oh, we have two yoga teachers. So I remember way back. I don't know if you remember back in the mid '60s, late 60s, when yoga was first starting to become a thing, right? And it was of course bending and stretching and experiencing and mixed up with some spiritual stuff. But it was strange. It basically happened on the coast, New York, San Francisco. Then it came down to L.A. and a few other places. Then finally, would fly over country. Now every half decent city in town has some kind of yoga studio. It's a big thing. Why? Because it works. Here is this strange thing that came in from India, and the person who's speaking about it is very svelte and calm. They're trying to sell me something, and they're personifying it. And okay, I'll try the bending. Okay, yeah, I feel better. I feel a little smooth. Let me come back. In other words, it works. Pratyaksha-avagamam. Pratyaksha means directly perceived. So the same thing came with Srila Prabhupada. When he came, he wasn't giving the bending and stretching, the chanting. That was basically the whole program. He went out into the park with a little half a bongo drum. I used to play the bongo drums. There's two of them. I don't know if you've seen it. So he had half of one, little bongo drum. No madungas. He came with like $12 to his name. And so he landed there and went from one place to another, and someone gave him a bongo drum. He got that bongo drum. He's playing a bongo drum very skillfully because he really played madunga. And he's chanting for 3 hours out in Tompkins Square Park. I used to live there. I mean, not in the park, but 2 blocks away. And I would visit there. It's like these old Polish ladies walking around, and a few, guys nodding off, and it's just a park, New York Park. But there were enough young people who were searching there. It was the hippie days, LSD and everything. So and because of his intensity and obviously something going on here, he gathered a crowd. He had a few followers with him by then. And it was a thing. 3 hours he's playing, and other musicians come. I used to be one of them. I'd walk around with my little flute and I had this Moroccan drum. Anyways, and looking for the action. Where is there some music going on? People would bring saxophones, everything out. It's New York. And so the problem was, this was something else. He was absorbed in this chant, and gradually people would pick up on it. And it created an aura. And of course, who would show up? Allen Ginsberg, who was famous, and that would really bring a crowd, And so it was basically chant first, ask questions later. In other words, there's no philosophy at first. Then, after 3 hours, he stood up and he made a little speech, describing what it was all about and everything like that. And by that time, the people were some people had come and gone, some people stayed, and at the end there were some people around. And so he gave the talk, and there were a few people, it starts slow, who had been primed by hearing the holy name to listen to what was behind it and what explained the experience that they had, which is some kind of mystical thing. And so he was giving that, and that was enough to for them to come back to the center, which is like 2 blocks away, which is 26 Second Avenue. So what I'm saying is that this faith, which is so important, because what is this verse about we just read? No faith. The Buddhas, the fools, they deride me when I come in human form, or when they hear that God comes in human form, because how many people really saw Krishna personally? But this, the whole philosophy here is that, yes, he comes in human form, which is his original form. He performs wonderful pastimes. He's creating the whole universe. This is one of his macro, pastimes he's performing. But at the same time, he also has this very intimate human form. So all of it is doesn't compute according to our ordinary knowledge, and But still, if you have enough faith in continuing your investigation, and possibly staying, coming back into the Sangha and trying the practice, then the Krishna from within the heart will give you enough realization to keep you going. And that's how this movement is grown. So cultivating that faith and like watering the plant, Lord Chaitanya gives this wonderful analogy. I don't know if you've heard, planting the seed. Does anyone know what the Bhakti Lata Bij? Have you heard that before? Bhakti Lata, it's a creeper of Bhakti. Bhakti is loving devotion to Krishna, loving devotional service. So it's a creeper of desire. Because what really counts is, you act on your desires. You want this, you want that, you don't want that. This is also a negative desire. So part of what's in your heart is a desire to learn about Krishna and get closer to Krishna, investigate. That's your bhakti creeper right there. And it's watered or it's nourished by hearing and chanting, mostly. By hearing and chanting the holy name, hearing the philosophy, so Bhagavad Gita, and doing it in association with devotees and picking up on that. Because there's then two influences in your life. Mostly before then, before you even come in contact with this, before Prabhupada came to America, it was all like different modes of nature. It's a vast variety, but it's all in one category, the material energy. You can go in, you have some free choice. You can cultivate the mode of goodness, passion. I know like classically today and, for a long time, people who would be depressed, dysfunctional, neurotic, you go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and you try to bring you from the mode of ignorance to the mode of passion. Meaning that, now he's very eager to advance and work, and he's into life. Yes, he's a mode of passion. That's the success, But that's still within the compass of the modes of nature. Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya dharatya. This is, Krishna says, this divine energy of mind composed of the three modes of nature. You can't cross beyond it, get beyond it by your own effort. You don't even realize that you're in it. How can you go beyond it? But those who surrender unto me can easily cross beyond it. So what does that mean? If you surrender to Krishna, then he gives you knowledge from within and from without, because you have faith you're getting from without also, that, there's a whole different way of existing, on a different plane, beyond those three modes, Brahma-bhuta, where you see yourself differently, you see the world differently, your aspirations are different, you take pleasure in spiritual things, and gradually your taste and your entanglement in the material world slackens. And so then there's a lot of work to do, because there's all of these latent desires and tendencies of conditioning over many, many millions of births. So it may take a while, it may take a few more births. But the encouraging thing is that if you make some serious advancement in this life, that's all to the good. You take it to your next life. But anything material you do is left behind, because it's all attached to this body. I've got so much money. Yeah, and you got so much in the money in the bank, and there's a name on that account. Yes, my name. No, it's the name of your body. And when you die, the money stays in the bank with that name in it, and they said, the state will take it or your heirs will take it. And you go, you know not where, to take a new body and a new name. It may not even be a human body. So what happened? All of that effort, those plans and that effort, and name and fame and money and whatever you got, it's all left behind. But any investment you make, even a little bit, you take with you. Krishna says, he promises. Anyone know the verse? Know this one. Neha bhikkumanashosti. You know it, right? You may not know it by heart, but you've heard it. Neha bhikkumanashosti pratyabhayana vidyate. All right, everybody's got a book. We can turn to this verse. It's like 240, I believe. Yes, 240. On page 107. You see that? Neha bhikkumanashosti pratyavayana vidyate svalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor of Krishna consciousness, there is no loss or diminution. And a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. What is a dangerous type of fear? Well, think fearful type of danger. What's the most fearful danger in this world? You know. No. Yeah. Death is bad enough, but to lose the human form of life, at least if I'm coming back as a human being, but that's not, you're not assured of that. The most fearful type of danger is to lose the human form of life due to a life of sin and you know what I mean? It's very common. I mean, the people who have no tinge of Krishna consciousness, and are just performing all kinds of horrendous sinful activities, they're going to lose the human form of life. Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma. Lord Rishabhdev, he says, certainly those who are simply engaged in sense gratification are mad, and they perform all kinds of vikarma. There's karma, and vikarma, and akarma. Krishna, 4th chapter. Now, karma in this context is activity that's fruitive, but it's within the Vedic rules and regulations. In the Vedas, there's a whole section of karma kanda, sacrifices. Okay, you're Manu Samhita like that. You're not a devotee, per se, of Krishna, but you're within the paradigm and you're following. You're not going to lose your human form of life, but you have to come back again. And akarma is the best. That's activity that doesn't produce a reaction. That's Krishna conscious activity. If whatever you're doing is a sacrifice for Krishna, there's no bad reaction or so-called good reaction. They're just getting rid of your bad karma, and you're not getting any new karma, and you're preparing for liberation. But vikarma is activity against the laws of nature, against the laws of God, and you're performing grievous sins, harming others, and you'll likely lose your human form of life. Down you go. And we've been around and around so many times. So this whole process is resting on that firm foundation of faith. And that here, what he's describing are the faithless. They see me, they hear about me in human form of life. They have no faith that I exist, or if I did, I'm just some powerful figure that somebody exaggerated. Param bhavma janato. They do not know my supreme nature, which he's just describing, how I'm all-pervading. You remember the verses he had? Everything enters into me, and then I create everything. This is God, the creator, maintainer, and destroyer. He may delegate those functions to Brahma and Shiva, but still he's doing it. Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram, my supreme controllership over everything that be. That's what they don't believe in, that there is anyone like that. It's all just coming up from matter. Matter produces consciousness. This is the ultimate demonic idea. So what's the result of all that? Prabhupada has many quotes here. He's quoting from different places in the Upanishads. This is all coming from Baladev Vijayabhushan. Prabhupada is following this commentary here. And these quotes are being picked up. Why is he so eager to quote the Upanishads? Because some people, they trust the Vedas, but they may not trust the Mahabharata as much, right? It says right in the Upanishads here that this is Krishna as Satchidananda Vigraha. And there's beautiful quotes from the Rig Veda also about the spiritual world. So those who are fortunate get that seed of faith, the Bhakti Lata Bija, they water it in the association of devotees, and it becomes very strong. And if we avoid the offenses, this is all part of chanting purely, then that creeper can become very, very healthy. And the final result is it produces the fruit of love of Godhead. It actually pierces the material energy and goes into a Goloka Vrindavan and produces the fruit, which you can taste eternally. That's the result. Read chapter 19, Madhya Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Even if you don't have the physical book, you can read it online. You can read it right on your phone, but don't do it right now. Okay, any questions on this portion of this verse and purport? You can see, yes, go ahead, Christian. Push it, yeah.
Thank you for a very nice class.
We're not done yet.
Thank you for continuing this very nice class. So my question is connected to the last verse, and it's about...
you mean 10?
Excuse me, not the last verse, but the verse that you mentioned in chapter 2.
Oh, 2. Nehabrikamanashasti, yes.
Even a little advancement?
Swalpam, yes. Swalpam means very little, but go ahead.
How do we know we are making advancement and it's not just our typical kind of lifetime after lifetime where maybe, like for instance, personal experience, you get involved and then you kind of fall away, and then you get involved and you kind of fall away. Could that happen lifetime after lifetime?
Yep.
How do you know you're making advancement in this?
Yeah, I'll tell you how. The idea is that the rate at which we advance is up to us. we need to be determined. But on the positive side, the word is su-opam. Okay, so Sanskrit is a very perfect language. Every syllable counts. So su-opam becomes svalpam. This is the way the Sunday rules work. So svalpam, which means very, very little. So the amount you've done, has assured you of a human birth. Don't worry about it. Even if you quit tomorrow and you may never see you again. So that's encouraging, right? But getting a human birth still means birth, 9 months in the womb. So it's not a but at least it's a human birth, and you will, you come in touch with devotees, as Krishna said in the 6th chapter. Even whether you're out knowing it, you'll be attracted. Oh yeah, this looks interesting. You get a book again. But the measure of advancement is very simple. You can tell. How much are you becoming attracted to Krishna? And more viscerally, how much are you being less attracted to Maya, to material things? That's something you can tell on your own. In other words, I used to come occasionally, but now I really want to come, and I'm really looking forward to the Rath Yatra, both here and in LA especially, In other words, those kinds of thoughts and that kind of anticipation and desire indicates that the creeper is growing. But still, if we're not serious enough, we'll let those bad habits fester, and it'll become more difficult to give up. There's one statement which is very, very I remember when I first read it, I said, yeah, this really makes sense. Because you give up so many things. Okay, 4 regs. Let's assume you're following the 4 regular principles. No set, meeting, gambling, intoxication. But there's so many other subtle things that you can do that aren't really within those, And so you've given up those 4, which is a big deal. Okay, But if you don't give up the 5th one, whatever it may be, you can put write in your own, and the 6th and 7th. Then the chanting, because what are you doing? You're kind of evoking the Ladini Shakti. You're getting you're contacting Krishna, and that name is very powerful. What does it say? You hearing about the glories of the holy name in the chanting is important, because that alone will make you eager to want to chant, and perfect the chanting. It's called Nam Mahima. So many wonderful verses. It says, Nama Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purnak Shuddho Nityamukto Abhinatva Nama Namino. So Nama Chintamani Krishna means that the holy name of Krishna is like an Chintamani gem which transforms you, right? The whole idea is that it's like a philosopher's stone, turns you to gold, whatever it touches, So the holy name will transform your consciousness, depending on your concentration and your sincerity and your purity of chanting. But even if you chant impurely, it'll have an effect. So Nama Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, it is the very form of the relation with Krishna is complete, it is pure, and eternally liberated. Why? Because it's non-different from Krishna. Abhinatva Nama Namino. There's the name, which is Krishna, and then there's the namina, which is what is named, Krishna himself, you see? So he says, Abhinatvan. There's no difference. There's no separation. This is this famous Achintya Beta Beta Tattva, But it's even more than that. It's that the holy name acts just like Krishna. That takes realization. But the point is that if you understand that and you're enlivened to chant with some of that understanding, then you'll get a taste, and if you become regulated and you chant, then that'll draw you away from Maya and draw you to Krishna. This is very, very wonderful esoteric statement. I remember reading this. Whoa. It's in the Teachings to Sanatana Goswami, I think chapter 20, or maybe 21 of Madhya Lila. So Lord Chaitanya's, the teachings are divided. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's analyzed very nicely. Is Sambandha Abhideya Priyojana. Sambandha is many of the things we're reading now. Who is God? The creation, all of that. What are his powers? Who am I? Oh, okay, I'm a spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. I'm bound in modes of nature. What is this world? Material energies, boomer, apple, all that. That's called sambandha. Understanding who is God, who I am, what this world is, what the relationships are between them. That's one element of sambandha, a very important element. Then, if one understands that, then you may say, well, I want to practice, because I want to realize these things. That's abhideya. That's the practice, And then the final goal of the whole practice, of the sadhana, is the sadhya, which is called the prayojana. And what's the end prayojana of all this practice? Prema, pure love for Krishna, which takes you back to Godhead. You are back to Godhead if you get it. So, sambandha abhideya prayojana. So Lord Chaitanya is describing, he's beginning to describe abhideya here, the practice. And he talks about the chanting of the holy name. And in one of the purports there, Prabhupada says that this chanting of Hare Krishna mantra is the manifestation in the material world of Krishna's flute sound. Now you know what effect that has, right? When you hear that flute sound. You can't not go to Krishna, right? The gopis ran out. They had to go meet Krishna. It's this all attractive sound. So that's what happens. When we hear Hare Krishna, we're getting attracted to Krishna. And that attraction we have to cultivate at all costs. And you'll know you're advancing when you're more attracted to everything about Krishna. The Tulsi Puja, the temple, the devotees, the service, of course the prasadam, where that's really where you want to be, And then the material attractions are waning or they're turning into the opposite. Just like, from being a devotee even for a couple of days, he thinks, oh my God, how did I eat all that meat all that time? My God, that was so horrible. In other words, you lose that taste, probably the first thing, because it's substituted with prasadam desire, But that's the measure. And really the most obvious measure that everyone can see is your distaste for material things. Oftentimes it causes a disruption in the family life or the friends. What's the matter? Why don't you come out and party? No, I'm going to the Hare Krishna. Oh, that Hare Krishna thing again. In other words, it's inevitable because your friends, they're into the other thing, and they're deeply enmeshed, but you're changing. So the more discord you have in the family life, that's a sign of advancement. That's basically what I'm trying to say. But on the positive side, even a little bit of advancement, you're sure of a human form of life. But then on the downside is, do we really want to come back in this world? It's going to be like climate change. Do we want to come back on Earth? I don't think so. Let's go back to Godhead. Let's get serious. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. All right, we have a few minutes left. Let's finish this purport because we never did finish it. We're in the middle of page 391. And this is Wednesday, so we'll have to resume on Monday. There are many controversies between the impersonalists and the personalists about the Lord's appearance as a human being. But if we consult the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, the authoritative text for understanding the science of Krishna, then we can understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not an ordinary man, although he appeared on this earth as an ordinary human. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, when the sages headed by Shaunaka inquired about the activities of Krishna, they said, Kritavan kilakarmani saharamena keshavaha atimartyani bhagavan gudha kapatamanushaha. Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, played like a human being, and so masked, he performed many superhuman acts. Bhagavatam 1.120. The Lord's appearance as a man bewilders the foolish. No human being could perform the wonderful acts that Krishna performed while he was present on this earth. When Krishna appeared before his father and mother, Vasudeva and Devaki, he appeared with 4 hands. Appeared means took birth. He appeared with 4 hands, but after the prayers of the parents, he transformed himself into an ordinary child. As stated in Bhagavatam 10.346, Babhuva prakrata shishuhu. He became just like an ordinary child. Shishu means little baby. An ordinary human being. Now here again, it is indicated that the Lord's appearance as an ordinary human being is one of the features of his transcendental body. In the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita also, it is stated that Arjuna prayed to see Krishna's form of 4 hands, te naiva rupena chaturabhujena. This is after seeing the universal form. After revealing this form, Krishna then petitioned Arjuna, when petitioned by Arjuna, again assumed his original human-like form, manusham rupam, form as a human being. These different features of the Supreme Lord are certainly not those of an ordinary human being. Some of those who deride Krishna and who are infected with the Mayavadi philosophy quote the following verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam 3:29-21 to prove that Krishna is just an ordinary man. Aham sarveshu bhuteshu bhutatma vastita sada. The Supreme is present in every living entity. We should better take note of this particular verse from the Vaishnava Acharyas like Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, instead of following the interpretation of unauthorized persons who deride Krishna. Jiva Goswami, commenting on this verse, says that Krishna, in his plenary expansion as Paramatma, is situated in the moving and the non-moving entities as the Supersoul. So any neophyte devotee who simply gives his attention to the Archamurti, the form of the Supreme Lord in the temple, and does not respect other living entities, is uselessly worshipping the form of the Lord in the temple. There are three kinds of devotees of the Lord, and the neophyte is in the lowest stage. The neophyte devotee gives more attention to the deity in the temple than to other devotees. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur warns that this sort of mentality should be corrected. A devotee should see that because Krishna is present in everyone's heart as Paramatma, every body is the embodiment of, or temple of the Supreme Lord. So as one offers respect to the temple of the Lord, he should similarly properly respect each and every body in which the Paramatma dwells. Everyone should therefore be given proper respect and should not be neglected. There are also many impersonalists who deride temple worship. They say that since God is everywhere, why should one restrict himself to temple worship? But if God is everywhere, is he not in the temple or in the deity? Although the personalist and the impersonalist will fight with one another perpetually, a perfect devotee in Krishna consciousness knows that although Krishna is the Supreme Personality, he is all-pervading, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Although his personal abode is Goloka Vrindavan, and he is always staying there, by his different manifestations of energy and by his plenary expansion, he is present everywhere in all parts of the material and spiritual creation. Okay, we'll have to stop there. Prepare for the arati. Thank you for your attention. All glories